Hello everybody, welcome back to Plan B TV News. I know a lot of you are pissed off right now the way the chief judges of Nigeria rule in favor of Bola Ahmed Tinubu over the presidential petitions that have been in court. Well, it didn't end there. After the chief judges said that the Bola Ahmed Tinubu won the 2023 presidential elections with fairness, that Peter Obi and Atiku lack merit because they don't have enough evidence to prove that they were robbed of their vote or they won the majority vote, that they don't have enough evidence to prove to the court, that the court work with evidence. Now, it didn't end there. I want you guys to watch what Peter Obi said, that they will take the matter to the Supreme Court for appeal, that this case is not over yet. So we'll be right back after this video to do some exegesis to it.
As petitioners in this case, we respect the views and ruling of the court, but we disagree with the court's reasoning and conclusions in the judgment it delivered. It is my intention as the presidential candidate and the intention of Labour Party to challenge this judgment by way of appeal immediately as allowed by the Constitution of Federal Republic of Nigeria. The EPC has rendered its judgment, but that esteemed body is not the final arbiter. The responsibility now falls on the Supreme Court. I do know that the judgment is not conterminous with justice. I implore Nigerians to remain focused, steadfast, and peaceful, and to abide by the rule of law and understand this matter has not reached its logical conclusion.
Now, you have heard what Peter Obi said, that this case is not yet over, that they will take it to the Supreme Court. That's not all. I want you guys to also watch this particular video. We'll be right back.
Mrs. Esemairo, do you know how Bola Tinubu won this election? He won the election because Peter Obi defeated Atiku Abubakar, and Atiku Abubakar defeated Peter Obi. It is so clear. What is Mr. Ezike saying? A senior lawyer of Mr. Ezike's caliber should be able to count the votes. With respect, please.
Let's stay on the issues.
Should be able
let's
to count
stay on the
votes.
issues. Mr. Nokwasa, let's stay on the issues. Thank you very much. So this is not the first time. In Imo State, we have the example of Governor Hope Uzodinma, who was fourth. So it wouldn't be totally something that's never been heard or seen before. But let me come to Mr. Ezike now, just to go back. I mean, you already talked about the 25%, but let's talk about the use of beavers for transmission of election results and the court ruling that it is discretionary. What's your take on that?
Well, like I said, the jurisprudence of the case and other cases will come out when the appeal comes in. But talking about beavers, the problem with the whole thing is not the interpretation. The problem is fraud. The INEC announced before the election that it is beavers they will use to transmit just before the election, and insisted on it as it is. I don't know how Peter Obi's lawyers pleaded, but I knew their problem. That is fraud anywhere in the world. And then you ended up not using it. And so if the candidate was hoping that, yes, these people will come out with the result, the candidate may not bother about the other things. If at the polling station you transmit the result, and then suddenly you say, no, we won't look at it at all. That is fraud. You mentioned Omeya. The case I did for him, good. I didn't know him. He got a call. I got a call from him. He said, a Supreme Court judge who is his friend said that judgment that gave Amechi the state, that there's something wrong with it, but he can't put a finger on it, that there's somebody who can. He called me and said he will come to Lagos to see me. I told him, okay, actually, I was in Abuja, come and see me. He came and asked me, what is wrong with it? I said the Supreme Court was making law. They were not interpreting it. That's what they did. And I went to court on it. The Supreme Court didn't allow me to argue it. But they were making laws. The law says it is the voters who put in power. And in that judgment, they said it was not the voters, but the parties that win and lose the election. And so this man was nominated, and then he ran away to Ghana when EFCC was chasing him, and then he won.
Okay, so I want a lot of clarification here. So from the election verdict, there were 5 takeaways. Abuja is now a 37th state.
Yes.
So is it that everything that happens to every state now happens in Abuja? And there's also a part that says electronic transmission of results is discretionary. If it was discretionary, why did INEC apologize for the technical glitch that happened on that day? Yeah. That question is to you, sir, and is also to you. If it was discretionary, why did INEC apologize for the technical glitch that happened? Yeah. Mr. Jesu Tega. So why did INEC apologize? Hey, Maga, how you doing now? Bless you.
In the first...
Well, why did INEC apologize for the technical glitch that happened that day if it was discretionary? Because if it was discretionary, INEC could have just come out to say that, oh, it's discretionary. We have a right to use whatever we want to use. And another citing and deposition in the courts by the APC was the announcement made by the INEC chief 2-3 days before the election that it was reported that it was a meeting in the night with some people that they said, INEC said that it was going to use just the beavers to snap and not to have the real result because it could be hacked to, just to snap to keep as a record there. So why did INEC apologize for the technicality? Why didn't INEC come out to say that, oh, it's based on our discretion, I would choose not to be able to use this process? Why did they apologize for the technical glitch?
Okay. My response to that is as follows. 1, I cannot hold brief for INEC. I'm not INEC's lawyer. 2, I would suppose if I were to hazard a reason why INEC would apologize, then it would be because it had earlier on intended to electronically transmit these results in real time. Now, I do not know, and I will not pretend or purport to know what happened. However, I am privy to some, let's just say, information about people trying to hack the INEC server. And these people were not of our party. They were Labour Party supporters, they were Peter Obi supporters, and Atiku supporters. Some of them were alleged at the time to be agents of Cambridge, that is former agents of Cambridge Analytica. So I don't really know. According to INEC, they were unable to transmit the results because there was a glitch. I would rather believe them. And the reason why I would believe them is that even without this so-called real-time transmission of results, they were still able to collect 6.2 million or so votes for Peter Obi, 6.7 or 6.9 million votes for Atiku, and only 8.7 million plus votes for President Tinubu. Now, when you add Peter Obi's 6.2 million votes to Atiku's 6.9 million votes, it is 13 million votes, Rufai Hosseini. 13 million votes is already more than our less than 9 million votes. So it is clear how the election was won and lost. It's not because of non-electronic transmission of results. It is because both of them split their votes.
Okay, no, so
that's what happened, please.
Okay, so that's why I just asked that question. But you said, you know, you can't hold brief for INEC. Because if INEC knew that the transmission was going to be discretionary, Why did they even need to apologize now? They would have just told Nigerians that, oh, we decide how we're going to do the election and all of that, transmit the report. So we've just chosen not to do it that way. But why did they go ahead to apologize? Why did they even say all the things they said before now? Why did they react to the insinuations that they might not transmit results electronically on the 11th of November 2022? Why? I come to you, sir. Why did INEC need to apologize if they knew that it was their own discretion and they could do whatever they want? Why did they need to apologize?
Well,
For the technical glitch.
their words say it, namely fraud. Because if you know you are wrong, you will say, I'm wrong, let us repeat the election. What I expect in this judgment of the Supreme Court that is coming is to do what other countries like Kenya have done, their Supreme Court judgments, repeat the election. Because the foundation is wrong. This question of it must be between this and that. It's not the issue. The issue, the foundation of the election was wrong. The foundation was wrong. I am going for examination and I'm told that the time is so and so, and then I came too early or too late, and then you come around to say, I'm sorry. Actually, it was yesterday. My communication system was wrong. Now, if it was wrong, you repeat it. That is my opinion. This is what is done in other places. The election could be repeated, and maybe the person who won will win, now this time fairly. Secondly, this question of INEC and beavers is a shame, because even in Kenya, like I mentioned, the interesting thing for me, as far as Kenya is concerned, is that their Supreme Court judgments were, I followed it live, we are following what we are doing in Nigeria. And ironically, they followed the submissions made for the parties that lost than those that won here in Nigeria. So the rigged election is not a new thing in Nigeria. It happens at every level, as it is. So we have to conquer it. My prayer is that, please, people should stop calling for military rule in Nigeria. That is my prayer, because the history of the world shows that any country that has been ruled by the military never survives it. We are not surviving this one. I mentioned Kenya, they've never had it, so they don't have this type of problems we have in those other East African countries where they have never had military rule. Look at the United Kingdom with Oliver Cromwell. That was once they had it, and when the royal family came back, they went to where he was buried and brought out his dead skeleton, hanged it, and that's why you have Royal Air Force, Royal Navy, but not Royal Army. That is what, but in our own system, look at the Soviet Union, look at Russia. Look at Soviet Union, look at China. These are the people who have fought civil wars to establish a new form of government. And in every war front, the person who calls the shot is the Politburo member, that's the civilian, not the general. In their submarines, nuclear submarines, there is always a civilian there who tells them what to do, not the soldiers who do that. No, as it is. So if you are calling for military rule, oh my God. You saw what happened after Shagari was overthrown. You saw what happened. That was the first time Nigerians started checking out. That's the expression. Checking out. This is all I'm pleading, and we haven't recovered from it. The economy collapsed, law and order, corruption became the order of the day, as it is. The military had never been able to do anything good in terms of the democracy and the economy anywhere. They've been in power.
However, I'd like to ask both of you, gentlemen, what are those preliminary lessons that you think we can draw from, the findings and conclusions of the Presidential Election Petition Tribunal at this moment? particularly with regard with time for the hearing of election petitions. Apart from the presidential election, in the states, we still have election petitions that have not been determined in a total of 25 states. Okay? There are other issues. The status of Abuja is, what both of you have been talking about back and forth. But there are other issues, that tribunal pronounced upon that could serve as preliminary lessons, just for general education. Let me start with you, Jesu Tega Onopasa.
Thank you, Dr. Abati. I am really pleased that you quoted Justice Nicky Toby. And that goes to the core, very core of jurisprudence. The mantra of law is, let justice be done even if the heavens fall. Justice is not a popularity contest. It is not even democratic, it's just justice. It is fairness. It is truth. What, with respect, my learned senior Ezike and his group of people are advocating is akin to mob justice. We don't like Bola Tinubu's face. We don't like who he is, for whatever reason. Therefore, let the court sack him. Even when it is clear, crystal clear, that Peter Obi did not win the election. And when it is clear how he did not win the election, because he didn't win the election because Atiku Abubakar refused to step down for him. And Atiku lost because Peter Obi refused to step down for him. How else is the court going to do justice other than to give the election to the person that actually won it because of their mutual default? That's how Bola Tinubu won, Dr. Abati. And I'm sure you are intelligent enough to know exactly how Bola Tinubu won. With regards to timing and so on, I would like, I think like most other people, I would really love election petitions to be concluded timeously. But we are lawyers. You are a lawyer yourself. I think, thankfully, even the law has compressed the time within which petitions are to be dispensed with. Ironically, it is the people who were calling for election petitions to be held in 7 days, like my learned senior Olisa Agbakoba, who is a Peter Obi supporter. It was the same Peter Obi that kept asking for adjournment after adjournment after adjournment. These things are not easy. They are practical. They are practical. And I feel he went to court, he wasted his time, wasted the time of the courts, dumped a whole lot of, with respect, crap on the court. He didn't bother to try to prove what even Mr. Ezike then knows is critical to an election petition. Show us where you were rigged. Tell us the votes that were taken from your votes. Tell us the votes that were added to President Tinubu's votes. That is how you win an election petition. You don't go into extraneous issues of forfeiture of money, of double nomination, of ridiculous issues. That is what happened yesterday. I'm sure that Dr. Abati must have felt really, really touched for the lawyers on the other side yesterday, because they were excoriated by the court. They were. And it was a disgrace.
Mr. Ezike, what lessons can we begin to put aside?
Well, the first lesson is with regard to the conduct of elections. When I contested election in 1979, I lost. I ran under NPN. And my maternal uncle, who was a member of the House of Reps and also a member of the House of Chiefs in Enugu, said, well, you go to file a petition, you will win. your opponent is not qualified. I've got all his papers. I said, I'm not going to do it. And he asked me why. I said, he won. This is a technicality of the law. If I had gone, I would have won in the court. I don't believe in it. Now, these things should be removed. There are so many technicalities. This question of doing youth service, this question of having this degree, this question of having been convicted. Kwame Nkrumah was convicted. He won the election in prison. These are, the only thing that should be done is to make debate compulsory, make it a law. There you attack your opponent. You committed fraud in America. You did this, you did that, you did that. But to disqualify a candidate by these things they are enumerating, these are technicalities, they should go. I don't believe in it. It doesn't really matter if it is what the people want. So let us do that and remove it. Now, talking about opinion, like my friend who was very close to me, Nikki Toby, said, well, that doesn't apply to, that's where jurisprudence comes. It doesn't apply to elections. If the public opinion is that Atiku won or that P2B won, and then the result is different, why should we ignore it? If we are talking about interpretation of laws, interpretation of documents, that is a different thing. The rules are clear. And invariably, if the interpretation is contrary to what the normal person would say, reasonable person would be, there's something wrong with that interpretation. There's something wrong with that interpretation. Oguntade said his own bit, but look at what he did in the Amechi case. Look at what he did. Amechi's petition was a pre-election matter. The Court of Appeal
is no longer the position of the law.
Yes, I know, but the point is that he violated the law. The law said that if it's a pre-election matter, as they said against Atiku in his petition against Buhari, if it's a pre-election matter, it shouldn't come into, it's all over, the time was over. But they said, yes, it is a pre-election matter.
Mr. Nokpasa, please, your take on this. Going to the Supreme Court, PDP, Labour Party.
That is their option. If they want to, they can go. I would just want to react to something that my learned senior said about the Supreme Court. It is not his place to impugn the integrity of the Supreme Court. He is not a Supreme Court judge. If he was that so great a lawyer, maybe he would be a Supreme Court judge. It is highly unfair of him to impugn the integrity of their lordships. Secondly, he made a comment about public opinion, that the court should follow.
Mr. Nokpasa,
I'm not doing that. I'm reacting to what he said, please.
I think you should take that back. You shouldn't have attacked him personally that if he was so great a lawyer, he would be on the Supreme Court. You can't do that to a fellow guest. You cannot do that. Mr. Nokpasa, take that back. Take that back with due respect. Take that back.
I will not, please.
You can't do that to a fellow guest.
He said that the justices, will you hear me out, young man? He said the justices
Mr.
of the
Nokpasa,
Supreme
please
Court
take that back.
are not like the likes.
Mr. Nokpasa,
my God. Oh God.
Mr. Nokpasa, kindly take that back.
I am a lawyer. I will not stand any lawyer insulting the justices of the Supreme Court.
Take what you said
Please,
back.
I won't. You are not a lawyer, young man. I said I will not take it back. You will not impugn the integrity of the Supreme Court bench in front of me. I mean, how dare you? That is our Supreme Court.
With all due respect, you have no right, Mr. Nokpasa, to come out here and castigate a fellow guest by saying, hang on a minute.
He has a right to insult the Supreme Court bench.
Hang on a minute. Nobody has said he has a right to impugn. When he said it, Dr. Abati replied him, but you have no right to tell a guest, our guest here, that if he was so great a lawyer, he will be sitting on the Supreme Court. Now you are attacking him and attacking his character. And that's what we're saying you're taking back.
He has a right to say, to compare our Supreme Court justices with who?
I mean, you choose to hear what you want to hear anyway.
That they are not what?
Nobody has supported him for impugning the Supreme Court. I told you, if you heard me properly, that Dr. Abati had a clawback and said, no, you are impugning the character of the court. We don't support that, but you have no right to also berate his personality. Okay, wrap up and let's go. Wrap up and let's go quickly.
Can we settle this?
Just wrap up and let's go, please.
Beautiful.
Now,
beautiful. Now, according to Mr. Ezike, he says that the court might decide a case according to public opinion. Well, the public opinion is actually even on Tinubu's side. Because according to the umpire INEC, he got the highest number of votes cast. It is not on Peter Obi's side. So I don't know what public opinion Mr. Ezike is talking about.
Okay, is that your point? Thank you very much for your point of view. Really appreciate you for your point of view there. Thank you so much.
All right.
But out here,
yes, a big thank you to Mr. Ezike in studio with us and Mr. Nopasa joining us from Abuja. It's time now for a short break on the morning show. When we return...
I want to add, I never impugned the Supreme Court. I simply said there's no hope the case going there. That's all I really said. As for impugning them, I don't know when I said they were corrupt or that. I didn't say that. I said, if by my saying all along that there were cases that were wrongly decided, I'm not impugning their integrity.
Okay. Thank you so much, Mr.
Thank you very much for explaining your point, Mr. Ezike, and thank Mr. Nopasa as well for joining us this morning.
This is where I'm going to be ending the video today. If it's your first time of coming across our video, please subscribe if you have not done so. If you do, turn on your notification bell so that you wouldn't miss out any of our future uploads. Remember, we love you, God love you more. Be the part of Plan B TV team, and let's continue to grow this channel together. God bless you. Stay tuned. Until we meet again, peace out.
And I see the show your support. Now say God bless you too.
Sense on the bed.
Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Oh. Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Plan B TV. Plan B TV.